So, Da Nang, Vietnam is known for its beaches, sunset, and laid back lifestyle. But lately, more and more expats are quietly packing up and moving on. Today, I'm sharing the real side of life in Da Nang that most people don't post on Instagram. And stick around because one of the biggest issues we personally faced wasn't something we saw coming at all. Hi, I'm Mai. I've been living in Da Nang with my family and documenting our life abroad here on YouTube. And let me start by saying we love Da Nang. This isn't a we're leaving video, but if you're thinking about moving here or you're wondering why some people are choosing to leave, I want to give you the full picture, the good and the not so pretty. Because while the city has so much beauty and opportunities, so you guys an insight to just giving you a better picture than everyone just saying Da Nang is just so glamorous. There are some not so glamorous things here.
Whoa, oh, oh. La, da, 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 oh, oh, oh. La, da, 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 oh, oh, oh. La, da, da.
Number 1, garbage and street cleanliness. Let's start with something you notice right away. Da Nang is growing fast, but its waste management hasn't caught up. You'll often see piles of trash on sidewalks or in empty lots, especially after holidays or stormy days. There isn't so much recycling, and open burning is still happening here, which I know the other day outside my house, someone was burning trash and my windows were open in my house and I smelled something while I was in the office and I was like, what's that smell? And I looked out the window in front of my house and I saw people burning trash, which the smell was so strong. I had to close the windows. I put my air purifier on. You just have to stay indoors and not be around that when they're burning trash. So if you're coming from a country with strict cleanliness and waste system, this can be a big adjustment here for you. Number 2, mold and housing quality. Here's a challenge that really surprised us and a lot of other expats. The humanity here is no joke, and a lot of the houses, even the modern looking ones, aren't built to handle it. There's poor ventilation, cheap materials, and water damage can lead to serious mold problems. We had to deal with this personally. One room smelled musty all the time, no matter how much we cleaned it and aired it out. At our old home, there was one room that we started not using as much because we had 4 bedrooms, and we just closed it off and didn't think anything of it because we're like, we're not going to use that room. We don't want to waste electricity and putting the AC on there. However, that was a big mistake because you have to have airflow going in there. If anything, we should have opened the windows in that room and just closed that door and just let it air out. But we didn't do that. There was mold growing in the corner of the home, which apparently that home was brand new built when we first got in. So it's sad to see that like within a year, mold started growing in there. And we did notice the rain season is pretty long here in Da Nang. And it was pretty brutal, I believe. I think I won't be here. We'll be traveling most of those months. However, if you are actually staying here for a 1-year lease as a family, like my family and I, a tip I would say is to have someone come in your house and air out your house at least once a week so mold doesn't grow, because we left for at least a month and a half, I believe, in January, and we came back and everything was so moldy and there was mold growing on things I didn't think it would grow. I had this wood jewelry stand and there was mold growing on it. So I guess that room needed to be more aired out. So my tip would be to make sure you have someone that can come and air out your house once a week and even just dust and clean and mop so it feels like air's flowing in there. Or even there's some of my friends that are leaving for a year. They have a place here to put things in storage. They kept their AC on going in one room and put all their stuff in one room. And right now, my husband and I are ready to get a dehumidifier in the house so we can keep the humidity in balance. So here's another pro tip. Always check for signs of water damage or moisture before signing a lease and invest in a dehumidifier, like I said. This was actually one of the reasons a few families we knew decided to leave altogether is because of the mold. Because the mold affected their kids' breathing and they couldn't find a home that they could stay dry all year round without constant maintenance. It's something that can really affect your quality of life, especially with young kids. And that's why I still am on the defense if I'm going to be here long long-term or not, or just learning how to deal with the mold, or maybe even eventually finding a home that has better ventilation, or even building up your own home here, I would suggest if you're going to plan to live here long-term. But if not, like I said, there are ways to prevent these mold. So on to the next one is number 3, air quality. So here's something you might not notice until a few weeks in. Most days, Da Nang feels fresh, especially by the ocean, but during burning season or heavy construction periods, the air can get hazy and irritating. I didn't realize that it was actually affecting me because the first year I was saying that I was getting sick more and my nose was feeling stuffed, and it's really due to the air quality here. I was living near the city, so the air quality there was not as good as being by the beach, and it felt really stuffy and hot inside the city. Some of the neighborhoods are worse than others depending on local farming and traffic. If you or your kids have allergies or asthma, it's something to consider. Like as right now, I think my oldest, I don't know if she has allergies, but she always sounds stuffed. So I'm always cleaning her nose out. And that's just something that we're figuring out if it's the air pollution. But hopefully it's better now because we moved towards the beach side. Let me have a sip of my drink. I'm getting thirsty right now. So good. Might get another one. So number 4 is traffic and pedestrian street safety. Now let's talk about getting around. Da Nang's traffic isn't as crazy as Saigon or Hanoi, but it's getting more congested every year, I noticed. What surprises most people is how unsafe it feels to walk. There aren't many sidewalks, and the crossroads are really hectic than functional. If you're not riding a motorbike, getting around can be frustrating. And for families with young kids, it takes extra caution. Yeah, people park on the sidewalks with their motorbikes. You always have to walk around the motorbikes. So I'm always making sure if we're going for walks, it's down by the beach because there's actually a sidewalk here that no one really motorbikes. So it'll be nice to just have a nice walk here. But in the city, it's a challenge. I'm getting sweaty.
I've been working so much lately, I can barely find the time to sleep.
Number 5, health and medical care. This one's important if you're moving here with a family. For everyday stuff, there are clinics and hospitals that are fine, but if you need specialized care or anything serious, most expats fly to Bangkok, Singapore, or Saigon, which I know that there was a story when we were in Nha Trang. There was a kid that, I forget what he had, but he needed surgery and they couldn't do it here, so they had to actually fly him to Singapore. People were asking for donations for that, so it was just really sad to hear that he had to go through a serious surgery. So that was like an example. And some people say the emergency service can be slow and you often need to navigate in Vietnamese or bring a translator. However, when I went to Vin Mec, I believe they were pretty good at their emergency services. So no worries on that, but I have heard that some people have trouble dealing with some of the emergency services. Number 6, visa and bureaucracy changes. So now let's get into paperwork because this affects every expat here in Da Nang. The visa system in Vietnam has changed a lot over the past few years. What used to be a pretty relaxed process now feels more unstable here. Right now, I know a friend that is actually stuck in Saigon right now because of that. So she has to stay another week to get that all sorted. Renewals and long-term stays and visa runs require more paperwork and policies can shift with little notice. This uncertainty is a big reason why some are choosing more stable countries for long-term living. Number 7, seasonal shifts and burnout. Let's talk seasons because Da Nang can feel like 2 different cities depending on the time of year. In tourist season, it gets crowded, noisy, and more expensive. In the rainy season, it slows down and gets gray and it can feel isolating. If you watch my other videos, I've talked about when the rainy season happens, it gets really dark and gloomy that we actually just stay in more and it gets cold inside the homes because there's no heating system. It's not like I need a heating system, but it gets cold in the house. But some expats love that rhythm, but others are burnt out from it.
I'm running around, keeping people pleased. But this is my favorite holiday. It's a chance to start over new. Cause I missed you, so I'm letting go of everything but you. These are the good times with you.
So number 8 is cultural and language barriers. Here's something that builds over time. While many locals are friendly, the language barrier is real. Day-to-day errands, dealing with landlords, or visiting the doctors often require translation help. Over time, this can feel exhausting, especially if you're not making an effort to learn Vietnamese or build local relationships. When I first got here, I was feeling a little bit exhausted about it, and sometimes I do still feel uncomfortable going out on my own because I'm scared of not able to communicate with certain locals and getting around. But I'm working on it, and I'm learning Vietnamese very slowly with my girls and watching those kid Vietnamese shows. Number 9, lack of long-term infrastructure. Let's zoom out for a second. Da Nang is fantastic for short-term living. There are beautiful Airbnbs, fun cafes, and co-working spaces all over. But once you try to build something long-term, a business, a home, a school plan for your kids, it gets a little bit tougher. Education beyond early years becomes harder to navigate unless you're willing to move to a bigger city like Saigon or Hanoi. Local business rules often require a Vietnamese partner, and leases can change suddenly if your landlord sells the house or wants to raise the rent. The lack of predictability is something not everyone is prepared for. It's one thing to love life in Da Nang for a season, and another thing to build roots when systems feel consistently in transition. And that brings me to our personal experience. Because trust me, we lived through a lot of this firsthand. We're still here and we love the lifestyle, but we had to learn some of these lessons the hard way. We had a moldy house, we dealt with random road closure, power outage, and language confusion. We also had a situation where we lost our rental deposit, which I made a video of. I'll link it right here or somewhere in the description. And there's not always a clear legal path to getting your money back unless you're ready to take it to court. So it's really important to document everything and to be careful who you rent from. That one stung. But at the same time, we have made beautiful friendships here, spent mornings barefoot at the beach, and create a lifestyle we truly love. And now this part is for anyone thinking long term. If you're considering a move abroad or you're already living the expat life and just want real talk, join my free community, Abundant Aesthetic Living Collective. It's where we talk about the real stuff, the good, the hard, and everything in between. The link is in the description. And again, thanks for watching, everyone. I really do appreciate it. If you found this video helpful, check out this one where I break down how we found our house by the beach and Dang. Until next time, live boldly, travel slow, and always follow what feels aligned. Let's grow, glow, and flourish together. It is so hot here right now. It's just so beautiful. It's 9 a.m. and it's so busy out here already. And I'm sweating like I'm sweating. So good. All right. You don't see my sweat. All right.